maybe you can elaborate on this. Was a batch of adrenochrome distributed among the elites and purposely poisoned?
Actually, several batches were. So from a company, one in China, in Wuhan, who would ever think anything like that come from Wuhan? And from another corporation, which is known as SimCorp, Child Youth Equals Money is what they call it. And they have compounds all over the United States. A lot of army camps like Azusa, Oza Camp, Collin Camp, Kearney Camp, Kohler Camp, Kern Camp, Lockett, McQuaid, Santa Anita, Sealy, Stoneman, Young, Desert, Center Fort, Baker Fort, Humboldt, MacArthur. All these are forts. MacArthur, Mason, Ord, Point Tejon, Winfield Scott, Yuma, Oakland. All of these forts, they make this. And so what the Alliance did with those that they've already had convicted that are, adrenal junkies, they can't come off or they die, they just put a added cocktail into it that kills them quietly over time. Not much time. They're mostly gone now. I talked about this way back on Kirsten's channel years ago. I think 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. I don't know. It's a long time. It was when I wasn't even known as GeneDecode yet. I was just say Gene then.
So you're telling me that they purposely poisoned these batches of adrenochrome, and that's how I mean, it's brilliant. That's a brilliant plan. That's how we, I guess, kicked off the war against these demons and poisoned. How many people did we take out with it? Is there any way of knowing?
It's a lot. Remember all of the people with the monitors like Mr. DeGeneres, Alan DeGeneres, and Tom Hanks, and Oprah Winfrey, and all of these people?
Yeah.
Majority of them.
I saw a video of Oprah Winfrey that, she was on the red carpet, and I've been around Oprah a couple times. That didn't look like her, man. It looked, he was close, but no cigar.
Yeah, it's exactly. When you've been around it, you know somebody. It's one thing for the main people just to see movies and stuff, and people in mass are not going to catch it. But if you're face to face, you can notice little differences in body English, the way they talk, the way they move. I've known people even enough that when they edit something or they write something and they post something like and then I see it somewhere else, that I know whose writing that is because I have enough experience of reading their material. You know what they're writing. People, even when people have slowed my voice down or played it faster, people pick up it's my voice. When and you're aware of somebody quite well, then it becomes so that you can identify the real thing. So, all of these people like Bruce Willis and Hanks and people, we don't see a lot of movies coming out anymore. They do have the ability, they've sold the rights to their image or whatever you want to call it. And they can go and film on location with a guy in a suit that tracks all the movement and then put another actor in there because they've already recorded the actor. And it looks like that person is there today in the Mojave Desert or something, or in Afghanistan, or wherever they want to put them that they're filming. The CGI is pretty darn convincing now.
I see like Bruce Willis, he looks very sick right now, but I always thought, well, that's probably just the vaccine. But you're saying that could it be the adrenochrome, or did the adrenochrome just kill everybody with the poison batch?
Just killed them.
Wow. So that would be.
It's just like McCain, get lethal injection. You're given a lethal injection and you're not going to know when it's going to hit. That's it. They went home, convicted in the military tribunal. It's done. You get your time, make use of what time you want now. And, a lot of them play these big games like we saw Tom Hanks with, Oprah and, another person behind it. It's like they have to be an actor forever. They can't lay it down and say, well, I've got a few days or weeks or months, I don't know, left. I want to spend it with the people I really care about or something. It's not the nature. It's like what we see with Zelensky in the Davos. These people are actors to the end. He's a comedian to the end. He insults China. I mean, come on. I mean, these people cannot let.
In other words, they don't know any other way.
Precisely. It is their nature. It's like asking a mosquito to change into something, a butterfly, and no longer draw blood. To expect that. It's not going to happen. It's just like Biden, the cabal Biden that's in the mask for the cabal, and the other guy that's in the mask for the alliance. The cabal one isn't going to not bomb something. That's their nature. They're going to bomb it. Is it doing anything? No. Is it? Or do you expect it's going to stop booties? No. Then what? Just make money for the, expand armaments so the military-industrial complex can make more, so you get more into your hedge funds through your lobbyists. I mean, come on. That's all this is now.
So, Gene, would that have been the first major blow that was dealt to these elites, or were we having wars in the tunnels and clearing out the tunnels before that? Or did that come after that? So in other words, what I'm asking is, did we first hit the elites with the poisoned adrenochrome and then go to war in the tunnels? Or was this running side by side simultaneously? Or did one happen before the other?
Actually, the first two things I would say that happened is the takedown of the satellites of the Corona and the control of the Big Bird satellite, ridiculous names, but that's what they call them, by the Alliance, by the Space Force, Secret Space Force. And then the dumbs started at the same time, just after that, once they got the satellite control, because it helps them cover the maneuvers of people coming up to go into the dumps. And then the additional thing was, of course, the ending of Bush Sr., and we saw that with the envelopes and all that, saying they play by the rules, same rules. Let your enemy know what you're doing. Here's an envelope. Here's what we're going to do. We're coming for you. Get right with the Lord, or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard different things on what that envelope actually said. But would you say
that's simple? I'm putting it simple.
Yeah, right. So Bush Sr., when you looked at his casket, obviously he had a wrinkled flag on it. That told me a lot. That told me a hell of a lot. The military doesn't do that. They don't make mistakes like that, correct, Gene?
No, especially for honors of a funeral. It's meticulously done. Every fold in that flag, every movement of every person, position of everything in the room, everything that's done, every handshake, every body position, every word, the words that are picked in the ceremonies, how the words fit together, in what progression, what specific word, everything is symbolic as heck in the military.
So let's talk about now. I've heard a lot of stories from people that have told me that there have been groups of special forces that have gone down into these tunnels, and they were obviously fighting something that was either off-worldly or demonic, or both.
Yeah.
Do you have any intel on that, Gene?
Yeah, actually, there's on the internet, I think it's on TikTok, there's videos of a briefing just to petty officers and more, I think it was a second-class airman, what would be an E5 in the Navy, second-class petty officer in the Navy. I'm not always great with the Air Force, but he was giving a briefing and talking about the different aliens they'll be meeting in the tunnels. And these other guys, are these the ones, the tall reptilian ones we're talking about, or this is the little short gray guys, the lower petty officers and things.
And this is real? This is real?
Absolutely.
So they're going down there knowing they're fighting a different type of an alien or species, whatever it is. They're getting briefed on what these damn things are.
Yeah, they're even being shown corpses before they go, so they don't freak out. The military, the Army, for example, just the Army. There's other budgets for other divisions, Air Force, etc. Got $500 million to train and get weaponry for underground warfare.
I've seen that. I've actually seen that. So, and then I know you've been tracking the tunnel blasts, the earthquakes. Where are we at in this stage of the war right now? From what you can tell us, have we cleaned out 90% of the tunnels, 80%, 50%? I mean, what is the objective here? I'm sure there are still some. I mean, are we clearing out the whole damn thing? Because I'm under the impression that there's like a honeycomb under there.
Yeah, it's vast and interdimensional, even goes into pocket universes in some cases. So to do percentage, I can't, but I can tell people that the majority of the stuff is they're getting down to the smaller stuff. So like what happened in New York with all the synagogues tied together that go from Manhattan into downtown New York and then go up and down to DC and out to the Finger Lakes. And those tunnels go all the way, where this group within the Jewish people that are this cannibalistic evil that infiltrated into the Sanhedrin of the Khazarian, or in my case, what I call them, they're an awful called the Aristana that love to eat human children and sacrifice them. And they do this stuff and they bathe and clean and ejaculate. You know, I don't mean to be vulgar, but it is.
No, yeah.
It is what it is. And then
Lubavitch, is it the Lubavitch sector? Is that who this is?
Yeah.
So you saying this to me, and I'm thinking, okay, New York. Well, this is all over the world. Do they all have tunnels under their synagogues?
Yeah, the majority, unfortunately, that's why I kept telling people, it's not the Hebrew, the true Jewish people, the children.
There's one here.
Yes. And
it's next to a school. I mean, I'm putting this all together in my mind. I don't know.
I mean, you've got this group that got within the Jewish people. Like I said years ago, they're the most infiltrated from the very beginning. The first people they infiltrated when they came to Earth were the Hebrew people, because they saw the intelligence, the brilliance, and they're very mobile people. They're having to constantly move. That's why they're hated so much. That's why even the elites are throwing them out. The kings and queens were throwing them out of their countries. It's not the Jewish people themselves, the good people that worship the one and only God of all creation. It's this group of monsters that got in charge of them that are not even terrestrial originally. Not that anybody's terrestrial here, because this is originally the home of the raptors, but the human beings and the humans and the good people of the earth, that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Sanhedrin that, killed Christ and all this group. They're non-terrestrials. They have an agenda, a long-term agenda, and part of it goes into these kind of materials they need to exist here, which is adrenochrome.
Gene, I watch a lot of trail cam videos now, and they're catching things on there that I would never believe existed just 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's these demonic-looking beings that crawl on all fours. They're called rakes. It almost looks like that movie Descent or Descendants or Descent, whatever it is. They're white in color. They're opaque. They're almost translucent, and they are caught on trail cams. And I have to think to myself, those are out in the forest. They've been there for a very long time. They look like skinwalkers, maybe. Is that what you're talking? Is that what's underground in those tunnels? Those beings themselves, or are they just part of it?
You've got a vast array of things that have turned from human into other things like wendigos and rakes, and you have skinwalkers. The Native Americans here, hundreds of years before the conquistadors showed up, knew about all this stuff, and they've gone in and cleaned some of it out sometime when it got too much. That's been in the history of the world for a long time. If you go on X and look at Ariel's posting grave sites in Europe that are covered with grates, steel iron grates over the grave, because you've got undead in there. You've got vampire creatures like that. And I told this to Kirsten way back, and she's like, no way, G.
What are you saying? Sorry. What do you mean they got gates or grate? What are you talking about?
A steel iron grate over the top of the grave, so that the undead in that grave can't get out at night.
I mean, if they can climb through the coffin in the dirt, I think they can get through an iron gate.
No, iron has a certain property. That's why my property, it's surrounded with iron.
Okay, so all right, so that's okay. You're throwing me off on that.
I know it sounds insane. Watch the Netflix series Supernatural. The majority, 90% of that is completely accurate. As insane as this all sounds, I was talking about non-terrestrial stuff on the interview yesterday. People, I was good up until Gene went there. Well, if you don't want to go there, you don't want to believe it, that's fine. It doesn't matter. The important thing to know is, to get rid of this cabal. But it doesn't mean it's not true either. Because we didn't know or you don't want to believe something doesn't mean it's not true.
Let's talk about CERN and let's talk about what happened at the Miami Mall.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's your view on what happened at the Miami Mall? I'm thinking, the government's playing the alien card. I don't know if it was real or not, but was it a bunch of smoke and mirrors? Was it an illusion? What's your take on what happened at the Miami Mall? And is that all connected to CERN?
It's similar to CERN. So the Miami Mall, some very, young kids today, some of them are brilliant, built a device that needed extra.
The kids built the device?
Yes. That they needed more electrical power than their home would provide. So they went to the mall and plugged it in.
How do you know this, though? How do you know this, Gene? Like, how do you know that this is, how do you know any of this?
Inside information.
Okay.
Yep. So they went to the mall and plugged it in like CERN, not with that kind of power, but with enough power for their little device to open up a portal and tall gray light creatures, not non-terrestrial in the sense they're not from another planet, they're from another dimension. They came through.
Would it be the same type of entities you see when you do psychedelics or something like that?
No.
Okay.
These are a peaceful being. They didn't attack. They weren't worried because they're not from our dimensionality. And, they didn't hurt anybody. They didn't attack. They're just confused. What the heck? Why are they coming? It's like you're walking around your house and suddenly you're somewhere else and then you're in your house. And you're kind of sort of in your house and sort of somewhere else. It's like confusing. They're confused. What the heck is going on?
Are they even in this dimension, or are they just, like, in other words, was their full body here, or was it like blurry, half and half? Did it look like a hologram type of image?
Yeah, half and half, because they're half here because of the portal, but they opened it up enough for them to kind of be here, but not completely be here.
Wow.
So they're not worried because they realize they're not completely here. You could shoot them, nothing's going to happen. The bullet will pass through them because they're not completely here. They're like, yeah, could you turn that thing off, please, so I can stay home in my area, where I am, my life and stuff. It's like you're walking around your room or something, or your house or your friend's place, and all of a sudden you're half somewhere else.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. So, golly, so do you think that, so when they turn off the machine, do they get stuck here in this dimension, or did they go back to theirs?
They were not stuck here. They're only half here. So when they turned the machine off, they're back to where they came from. Thank you. Thank you for leaving us alone. Could you not do that again, please?
Gene, how does a machine like that work?
Frequency matching. You're changing the spin, rotation, particle, quantum vibration so that the angular torque and packet vibration at the quantum level is phasing into a different space-time dimensionality.
And you're telling me some kids found this out?
Yeah. Kids today are super geniuses.
So basically, frequency is sound, right? So they probably were playing with a machine that was emitting a certain sound frequency that blurred our realities?
Sound, frequency, light, yes, which all are interconnected. Even in the 80s and Stanford University, they created blue light in a lab using sound. So with sound, because everything is frequency, like Tesla said, with the right frequency overlay and various types of pulse modulations, and especially if you go into scalar and tetryon, not tetryon, tachyon, then you're going and opening up things that can go through dimensionality and or time.
Wow. So you're telling me, Gene, that now kids are messing with this type of technology and basically creating mini CERNs.
Yep.
In their disposal. Kids today are so bright, and that's what happened at the Miami Mall, was that they were messing with this type of technology. They thought of themselves matching frequencies, and they opened up a dimensional portal where beings came through that were half here and half still in their dimension because some kids were playing with it, they invented and were playing with this technology?
Yep. Now, CERN's a bit different in that it reaches below our layer. This is reaching across our layer. So you're going from 3D to essentially the level of reality. We're at just a different dimensionality. In CERN, you're reaching down into the, what Christians would call hell. Just to say it straight, I call it the underverse due to the nature of the frequency patterning. It's the substrate. You're reaching down into a deep substrate of lower level of beingness, a very dark one. That's what you're seeing, and a lot of times when you're doing like hallucinogenics, you're seeing an actuality often going in there, at least astrally, and sometimes mentally as well. Your mental body, your astral, your causal body, and possibly even your physical body can wind up going in there. So in the underverse, you have all these beings like they wanted to bring in. That's why they had Shiva and all this, and they're doing that dance and all that. That's black magic. They're doing black blood magic where they've done sacrifices. They've done stuff like the temples and the synagogues again. Then they do that, and they're doing again, very scripted, very like a funeral, but very, very military funeral, but very, very precise movement. It doesn't look precise, but it's choreographed very precise to do a frequency. The movements of the people are creating a frequency along with what CERN's going to do later, tied at specific locations and times based on the rotation of the Earth and our point and date and time, and all of this stuff are set precisely to open up a portal, this time to go below the layers we're in, to reach down, to bring up these beings, to help them to create their world order, their rule-based order.
So they are coming from hell. It's just you're giving it a different term, which is underverse. Yes. But underverse is hell.
Correct.
And that's what these kids opened up, or we don't know if that was from.
No, the kids opened up a sideways portal. CERN opens up a downreach, like what they were going to do at Notre Dame had it been burned on the correct time.
CERN opens up a what?
A portal into hell, if you want.
Wow. So, but that's a vertical portal?
Yes. Well, not exactly vertical. It's kind of like a 72.6 degree down angle.
Wow. Holy cow. And so these tunnels that are underground, are they connected to these portals into the underverse?
Some of them have them, yes. And there are ones that occur naturally periodically.
This is incredible. Can you give us any intel or insight on where we're at the war right now? I mean, what does it look like for 2024?
Wow, we are so close now. It's just, oh my goodness. You can see many, many people, even though Duran had Alexander McCarris, and Garland Nixon expose I watched this morning at around 3 a.m. had an expose where they talked about all Ukraine and Gaza and all this stuff. and we see what's going on in Davos, they're trying to scramble to figure a way not to be winding up like at the end of World War II, the ruler of Italy wound up hanging by his heels, getting stabbed and spit on and shot while he's dead, not hung from the nearest lamppost like the boards have said. It won't be safe for them. People are going to want to string them up. I mean, it's going to be, when they find out about the adrenochrome, let alone the other things that are worse. There's things like chromochrome and even things worse yet that I've never gone into, and I won't, because it's just so, even to talk about it, it makes me so I can't sleep for 2 or 3 days because I visualize everything. I'm very visual, and so I don't want to go there again. When I saw that stuff, it took me a week to sleep again. But there's things that are being done to children and people that are just, nobody that has a soul can wrap your head around. Who would even think of doing it? Why would it ever come to your mind? And how could you possibly, like I saw you in an interview, how can you rape a young child, a baby? I mean, come on. How does a man even get remotely excited enough to do that? It's impossible if you have a soul. That's why. You can't even conceive of it. That's why. You look at a child, and for me, I see God. I see literally the face of God in that newborn child. I don't see something like, I want to do anything like that. That's,
yeah, I agree with you. I see the innocence of God, purity.
Yeah, that's utterly evil. Beyond, I can't even get a name for it. There needs to be a new word that's way beyond evil.
Wow, Gene, I don't even know where else to go with this. So they're hoping that the CERN will open up portals to the underverse, releasing these type of entities, demons, for this final battle.
Yes, because
But if it's the final battle, what are they scared about? They should be very confident that these demons are coming through. But they're losing.
Right, they lost. They're done. They're toast. They're desperate. We look at Lord Palpatine at Davos. You know who I mean, and he's sitting there talking to these people, and everybody is even calling them out at Davos. The head of Brazil, new president, all these people are calling them out at their own expose. They're just saying, here's what's coming for you. You're done. You better figure out how to make your final adieus, because it's done. You are no longer the masters, as Benjamin Fulford said on your platform, or you did. They're no longer the masters of the universe. They thought they were. They now see the writing in the pit that they're going into. The wall is fallen, they're going down, and they're scrambling, trying to bring in a 19X, or another this or another that, and activate the WHO to take over everything. They're trying like that. They're trying. They will never quit trying. They give them that. Their tenacity is beyond comprehension. They will never give up, and they will never stop. That's why there's only one thing to do with them. You can't give them any leniency or anything else. They don't have souls. They don't have any lick of compassion. You're actually doing them a favor. They're really miserable. Do they look like they're really greatly happy? The golfers see the young prostitute boys and girls, and they're getting in their car, and you see Klaus and these people being accosted by the media. Do they look like they're excited, like you're going on a date with a beautiful young lady, 25, 30 years old, you're going to have night wine and dinner, you're happy, you're smiling? They don't look like that. They look absolutely miserable. You look at Putin and these people at the meetings in Russia and China, they're all smiling, laid back, their body being delicious, relaxed, they're telling jokes. These people aren't telling jokes, they're not smiling, they're not laughing, they have no sense of humor. They don't care about anything at all except how to maintain my power. And I look at how
they don't have souls, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. You see the interaction with them with any animal going by. They don't even see the animal other than something they could eat or abuse, like Fakey, Dr. Fakey. But yet you see Trump go by and a pigeon salutes him and he salutes back. you see Putin with his puppy. It's super sweet. Our young child, super sweet, very loving in the correct way of loving, kind. That's a beautiful, sweet child of God. All of these things. And he's constantly talking along. So's Trump. Same thing. But you see these people. Do they ever really talk about the children and the safety of the humans beings and the safety of the people of America and how and it's ever hold up to anything they've ever said? What are they doing at the border? The Red Cross is coming down and shipping the people all over the country, flying them, giving $2,500 a month. I worked all my life. I don't get that. It's like, give me a break. I work 20 hours a day at sea. That's on the good days when I could get some sleep. Sometimes it was half a week or almost a week I got in it. And yet that's what I get. And they come over the border, get flown around. And what are they doing? They're going looking for their next hit. Yeah, majority of them. And yeah, you have some pretty, seriously trained people coming over too, but they're getting all this money to be flown by the Red Cross. These people have not one lick, not one grain of compassion or anything else. All they want is more. It reminds me so much of Finding Nemo with the seagulls. Mine, mine, mine. It's literally mine, mine, mine. More, more, more. There's never enough.
Jeez. Gene, thank you so much for joining me, man. This has been amazing. I'm going to go ahead and upload this tomorrow.
Yep. The good part about all of that, it's ending. I don't really perceive it going much beyond this year. This year is going to be a rocket sled. It's going to be big. The world, I really think this now is the year it's going to change a lot. I see no way Ukraine can continue to be anything remote. It might be something the size of Rhode Island around Kiev. I have no way I see. The U.S. essentially has, why are we attacking Yemen and not Iran? Because we don't have hardly any more missiles or armaments, and they're out of money. Yeah, they can print stuff, but people that are giving that to the military-industrial complex are going, we want tangible now. No more garbage like blips and computers and paper stacked on pallets. We want the real thing, gold, whatever. They don't have it. It's all gone. The cabal got all of their dumps with their gold and under the Vatican and under D.C. and under New York, all emptied. So they don't have anything. What are they going to, just like in Ukraine, you could send all the money and gold and weapons you want. They don't have any people. When you're out of the hardcore, whatever it is you really need, you need missiles and stuff like that. And those ships over in the Red Sea, they can't stock up at sea. They have to go back to port like Djibouti or, not Djibouti, Dubai, or somewhere all the way back to the Med or something, way up into the Med, some base in the U.S. base in the Med. They cannot refit the weapons at sea anymore. They're too advanced. And they're expending missiles, $2.5 million missiles. And the Houthis are using something they've built in the middle of the desert for $200,000. I mean, the U.S. is into all this power and wealth projection, but they don't have it anymore. They're just about out. So we don't attack Iran. The U.S., I mean the American people, I mean the puppet government of the collapsed, bankrupt government, because they can't do anything else. They have to look. A narcissist is all into how they look to somebody else. It's like you get in a ring and you're all like putting on your airs, getting in the guy's face while they're reading the rules to you and you're chanting and you're putting on your airs. You're putting, and that's what a narcissist is. I'm a tough guy. I'm coming. I'm going to get you. I'm going to knock you down, beat you up. That's what they're doing. The Houthis are just laughing. I mean, there's a guy even like a date site over the pirate Houthis is like all famous and stuff, and all the women are swooning over him. Does this look like they're worried to you? That they're running for their lives they've been bombed all for decades. We'll just move over here and hit you some more.
Interesting. Thank you, GeneDecode. I appreciate this interview. And I'm sorry we couldn't make it for YouTube, but I'm so glad we didn't in a way because there was so much we covered here. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get on this right now and upload it tomorrow.
Great. Thank you, Nino.
I'm going to name it Portals to the Underverse.